Hey guys, what is going on? Inception here and welcome to another video today. Today, we're going to do a little bit of a different type of video, right? So we're going to make a video of judging players before before you buy them, right? I always get the question a lot from people of whether or not this person is worth buying or this person is worth buying. And I'm going to go through basically the certain aspects that I look for when I'm looking at certain players. As you guys know, I'm very critical when it comes to certain players. The only way to have a full meta team in this game is by having a bunch of icons to have the perfect type of squad. But obviously, under the circumstances that you're in, whether you're price locked at a certain amount of coins, like we have 300k only or 400k only, sometimes you can't get the full meta that you want. So you won't be able to play to your full potential in FIFA, but you do the best under the circumstances that you're in, right? So I am going to be making this video to show you guys what I look for in players and what I know before even using them that certain players are going to be poor in or very good in. So we're going to start off with a couple of things here. The informs, the icons. I want to make this video so you guys can pick up my brain, right? So you understand the way that I think before I buy players. We're going to show you guys the transfer market with all the really expensive players. I'm going to show you guys the players that are not too expensive and why I would buy them and why I wouldn't buy them. So with certain concepts here, we look at someone like Lukaku, right? And people ask me if I like Lukaku. Lukaku is a player that, for me personally, and this is all opinion, guys, this is all completely down to my opinion. Lukaku is a player that I personally would never ever get into my team because his dribbling is too low, right? So if you look at his dribbling, he has 64 agility with 48 balance. Players like this, they move too slowly on the ball, right? And when a player moves slowly on the ball, I can't take those really sharp, quick, intricate little touches in order for me to make an extra passing space or to take that extra little touch I need to take and then shoot the ball right away. A player like Lukaku, what he often does is every time I've used him, which I never liked, he always, when he takes this touch, he's always losing his balance as he's taking that touch. Like he's always kind of like falling over. When a player does that, it's taking more time for them to be balanced to take the shot, so you're wasting valuable time to get into opportunities. There are people that like using this card because he's incredibly strong. He's got a decent weak foot. But for me personally, the agility and the balance is something that I do not like whatsoever. His composure and his finishing is very good, which is a very nice thing to have for strikers. But the finishing and the composure becomes somewhat irrelevant because you have to get into the position with him, right? So you can't really create it with him. You have to. It's either you're taking long shots with him, which he's not even that great at with 76, even though you could put a hunter card on him, or you know, you try to compensate for the agility and balance. So again, cards that I wouldn't use. Ronaldo's pretty typical. When you look at the card, you think, oh wow, he has 64 balance, he's going to be incredibly poor. The 64 balance part on Ronaldo is the most irrelevant thing on the card. Is it noticeable? Yes, you will notice that he has he's a type of card that lacks in balance. That's definitely a thing that you definitely notice for sure. But it's not a thing you notice to the point where like, wow, he's so unusable. No, he's one of the best cards in the game, if not the best, other than the R9 card Prime, because that card is just literally a cheat code. This card is incredible, right? This card, his regular left wing card, he has all the attributes needed. He's got the strength, the pace, the physical body. He's got the height with 6'1". Beautiful card, right? Players like Sergio Aguero. Sergio Aguero, I need to try out this card somewhat at some point in the future. So this is the type of card that you have to try out, right? Because Aguero normally in FIFA doesn't really play that well for me. And I think the reason being is because of the 5'8" height. Even although Gabriel Jesus is a short player, Gabriel Jesus has the high agility, the high balance, and the crazy acceleration with great sprint speed as a regular card with decent composure and decent finishing. In terms of the price difference that you're paying for Gabriel Jesus, that guy puts in work. Now, would this card be really good? Yeah, this card could be significantly better than Gabriel Jesus' card, because if you give this card a hunter card, his finishing will most of the times be perfect, because you guys know the finishing is very inconsistent in this game, but most of the times it'll be very, very good. So is this a card that's worth getting? I don't know. Let's see. Compare the price. We look at his card. It's like 818k. 818k in terms of the price you're paying for the quality that you're getting. It's not bad. It's not a bad card to get, except that you're lacking in the physical and the height advantage, right? When you have a striker having the height and having the physical is very important. So whether you think it's worth spending 800 or so K on an Aguero that's not going to have the physical and that's not going to have the height, that's going to be something that you notice in the game. Players like a Team of the Year Conte. Team of the Year Conte, this card is absolutely incredible, but the height is very noticeable, right? These types of aspects are very, very noticeable on the cards. The height is the only part of his card that you notice in the game. 5'6", you will notice it 110%. But everything else is beautiful. This guy controls the midfield, because the thing about this card, right, is people need to understand the most important things about this card is the crazy defensive capabilities that this guy has. His acceleration and sprint speed is really high up there, and his agility and balance is good. The reason why that's so important is because the main purpose of Conte being in your team is being able to move left and right smoothly with acceleration. Because if you mispredict moving to the left and, you know, the opponent moves to the right, Conte has so much acceleration and so much balance that he just bullets to the position that the guy's trying to exploit. So even if you screw up, this is the type of card where it's like, hey, it's okay, I'll just get back into that position. Especially if you give this guy a shadow card where he has better marking with better acceleration and sprint speed, it'll be perfect. The card would be absolutely filthy. I've played with this card in draft. He's so good because 97 composure with 85 finishing is amazing to have, okay? Is he worth the price that you're paying for? Let's think about the situation. We got CDMs, the meta ones have the height. Laurent Blanc has the height. Is Laurent Blanc better than Conte? That's something you have to try out in the game, right? So Laurent Blanc versus Conte. Conte would probably be better because that pace is so beautiful to have when you're defending with him. And his interceptions is just godlike, right? He basically just intercepts everything. So it's a card you have to try out in the game. He would work as a lone CDM, and he would work as a CDM alongside someone. It would actually be really interesting to try out Conte being 5'6" with a person who's taller than him. So I might even try out the regular Conte to see if it works out really nicely with this with the other CDM, because Laurent Blanc in my current team is medium high, and so is Conte. So even the regular card could be very decent in relation to the icon card. So again, guys, I'm just letting you guys like pick at my brain here, right? So these are like the expensive ones that we look at. Now we're going to look at cards like, you know, people will give me examples like, you know, should I get Mertens? Okay, so we'll look at someone like Mertens, right? If you get someone like Mertens, and we're going to look at his card stats right now, right? So his card stats look really good, right? His base card looks really awesome. High-low work rates with 4-star, 4-star looks incredibly decent, doesn't it? A lot of aspects you need to consider when you're getting a card like this, okay? 5'7", very, very big deal when you're using a striker, because the physical and the height, again, very important for your strikers, right? Because you're going to be lacking in too many different things. Like if you do a driven pass to this guy, a lot of the times, even though he has that pace and that crazy dribbling, he'll control the ball, but a center back will come in from behind and reach around with his leg to get him, to get the ball off of this guy, right? So stuff like that is very important, especially since he really, really lacks in the physical. He has no strength and no aggression to compensate for his height, right? So when you look at the height, you're like, okay, I at least need the low 80s or the high 70s for the physical to make sense. Absolutely no physical. So if you play this style of, you know, doing driven passes to your strikers and wanting them to control the ball really well, he will do that sometimes because his dribbling is very good. But you have to be careful of the players around you. Will he control the ball right away really nicely? 100%. He's got incredible ball control. His agility and his balance is really good, and his dribbling is very good. So 100%. And his 81 composure is very good too. So he will control that ball. But will he outbody someone when you need him to outbody people? He won't ever do that. He'll outpace people because he's so rapid with 94 agility, 92 balance with 93 acceleration. It's better to have acceleration than sprint speed, by the way. So having 93 acceleration with 87 sprint speed, slapping a hunter card on this guy where he has even higher acceleration and sprint speed with better finishing, shot power, and all those things, the card's pretty good. But again, you're lacking in the height and the physical department. So there's a certain aspect of your gameplay that you can no longer do with this card. A perfect example, as you guys know, I use Gabriel Jesus in my team, right? We're going to look at Gabriel Jesus' card. There's no such thing as overpowered cards anymore. There's only such thing as cards that are good for really good reasons. If you look at their card stats, everything makes sense. There's no such thing as overpowered anymore. Overpowered is back in the day with like S-Wine. If you looked at S-Wine's card stats, it literally made no sense why he was good, right? He had the sprint speed, sure, but so did everybody else. But his dribbling on the ball, his shooting was incredible, and they weren't incredible on the stats. So back then, you can really call players overpowered, but nowadays it's completely different, right? Because players that are good nowadays, they're good, but if you look at their stats, it makes sense to why they're good. Why is Gabriel Jesus such an effective card in this game? Let's look at the specific stats. The low 90s in the agility and the balance, the beautiful dribbling concept. He has 87 dribbling, so it makes you think like, oh, his dribbling's not that great. Look at his ball control, dribbling, composure, agility, and balance. That is a player that's going to move rapidly on the ball. He's going to move really fast, especially since he has 89 acceleration. There is a reason why this card is so good in the game. When he's finishing, if you give this guy a hunter card with better acceleration and better sprint speed, with better finishing and shot power, with 84 composure, the finishing concept with this card, he's going to finish a lot of good opportunities for you for a rare gold card. A card that you're paying 6.3, look at this one, 4.6k. That's nothing for this card for what it offers you in comparison to like an Icon Shevchenko, which in my opinion was absolutely trash bags in a team, whether you're using him in a 4-1-2 and 2 bracket 2 with 2 strikers, so he has support, doesn't really do much. Whether he's a lone striker, even worse because of the high work rates, doesn't work with him, with the poor dribbling and with the poor skill moves, right? Because he has 3-star skill moves. Again, this is all opinion, guys, but this is just me allowing you guys to pick at my brain. Why is Martial a good card? Well, we're going to look at why Martial is a good card, right? Nothing is overpowered, guys. Everything makes sense in this game, okay? We got a player here, right, who's got decent agility and balance with pretty decent ball control and dribbling. Very important aspect. Martial is not... I think Gabriel Jesus is like 5'8" or 5'9". He's not that height. Martial is 5'11", okay? 5'11" while having 85 agility and 82 balance is very nice. Now, will he dribble really quickly? Not so much, because the reaction times being 81 and his dribbling being 88, they kind of contradict each other a little bit, you know? But... is this card really good? Yes, this card's amazing to use, right? He has 92 acceleration when 90 sprint speed, so you know he's going to pick up speed. If you hold our trigger after you outplay someone on the dribble, he's going to outrun the person because of the beautiful acceleration and the beautiful sprint speed. Agility, again, being 85 with 82 balance, while being 5'11 with 4-star, this is a card worth trying out. Cards similar to Martial, right? We're going to look at other cards that are similar. So we're going to look at something like Baldian, right? Keita Baldian from Monaco. Let's look at his card for a second. 76 shooting, so we'll see what about his card isn't very good. Now, you look at this card, right? Is this card a cheap option to use? It's going to be good? Yes, absolutely, because 79 composure with 89 ball control, 87 dribbling with 82 balance is quite decent for a card that you're probably paying a round discard for. Like, he's probably like 1,500 coins, which is nothing compared to the cards you get like in the beginning, right? 93 acceleration, 92 sprint speed. Now, when you're using this card will not play similar to Martial, but he'll play like a worse version of him. And the reason being is because, right, he is 6 foot. So having 82 agility and 77 balance is decent, but it's not good because he has 76 reactions. So his dribbling isn't going to be that great. It's going to be slightly worse than Martial, but it'll still be doable because he has 89 ball control with 87 dribbling. So he'll be quite decent on the dribble, but you will notice the balance, because the balance being 77, right, while he's 6 foot, is incredibly noticeable on his card with the poor reactions, because he's not like Ronaldo. He doesn't have other stats that make up for it. He doesn't have the high 90s in the composure, the dribbling, the ball control, right? He doesn't have other stats that make up for the poor balance, right? Sometimes there's specific aspects of cards, right, that when you look at the agility and the balance, the finishing, all these different concepts, there's certain things that compensate other things, right? So again, with the balance, if Baldiel had 83 balance at the least and 82, 83 reaction times, this card would be an absolute monster because he's 6 foot with those types of stats, right? But unfortunately, he doesn't have those types of stats. I don't think he got any informs so far this year. This is his OTW card, so he didn't get any informs this year. So that's really unlucky, right? Other players that people like to use that seem to be overpowered. Why is Bakayoko so good? We'll see why Bakayoko is so good. So for the price that you're paying for Bakayoko, right? Let's just look at his card. Everything in FIFA nowadays, guys, is noticeable. Every single aspect is noticeable. When you try out a card, most of the times, guys, that I try out a card before, or I look at a card before trying him out, I'm usually accurate in my decision making in terms of whether he's a good card or he's a bad card. And the perfect example of that was with the Prime Shevchenko card, right? So we'll look at Bakayoko here, right? Why is Bakayoko such a good card? We're going to look at why he is. Medium work rates isn't that crazy good, right? We're gonna start off right off the bat with that. That's not that great to have. It's way more preferable to have medium high because the main purpose of a player who's your CDM is to defend that midfield with his life, right? You're gonna notice a lack of pace against the people who have the icons, the crazy Ronaldo, Messi, Neymar squads, right? You're gonna notice it. What does this card offer you? He's going to offer you a great defensive presence. Why does he offer you defensive presence? Let's look at his stats. Defending being 81 interceptions with 80 marking, 84 stand tackle, and slide tackle 82. The only card you should ever slap on a Bakayoko is a shadow card. You don't need to upgrade his physical, and the reason why you don't need to upgrade his physical is because 78 jumping while being 6'1" is already very good. 82 strength while jumping is very nice to have. 86 stamina for a CDM running back and forth, very nice to have. 85 aggression while running after the ball and trying to body against someone. 85 aggression is very good. While you also give him a shadow card, which increases his acceleration, his sprint speed, while also boosting his defending capability with better standing tackle, better marking, better heading accuracy, better interceptions, right? This card's amazing because he has the height that makes up for the physical with better defending and better pace because of the shadow card. Shadow card is the only card you should be slapping on this card. But even with the shadow card, you will 110%, that's the expression of the stream, notice the difference between having someone who has these types of defending stats and these types of attacking stats. Stuff you'll notice again, a lack of shooting. That's very noticeable, right? Your CDMs, as much as they are the prime focus of them being your team is to defend, sometimes they push forward. Sometimes you want to pop in long shots with them. Impossible to do with Bakayoko. He has no long shots, no shooting capabilities whatsoever. But 74 composure on the ball is not so bad when he has players trying to body against him, right? Other players that I'm trying to think of, let's see if we can get some examples here. So I'll put players that are around like, you know, the 500K margin, something like that. There's nothing on the transfer market about Kayoko. Look at something in the 500K mark. Carlos Puyol. Why would you get this card? Literally no point in buying a card like Carlos Puyol because he has 72 pace while being 5'10". Although he has good jumping, right? The lack of acceleration, 70 acceleration with 73 sprint speed, in no world is this card ever worth purchasing if you want to think about a full meta in your team, because that is not good enough for a meta center back to use in a game mode like Foot Champs. 72 pace is incredibly low against these players that have their team of the year, Ronaldos and stuff, or all these crazy cards. He has great defensive capabilities, don't get me wrong. But if you look at a card like this, his defensive stats and his physical stats are incredible. They look amazing, right? But those stats, right, in comparison to someone like Eric Bailly, right? Let's go search up Eric Bailly right now. We're going to search up someone like Eric Bailly. Let's search up Eric Bailly. So this card has 78 pace. So that's a +6 pace. Why does he have the pace? The better acceleration, the better sprint speed. Now, his defending and his physical capabilities aren't the same as Puyol's. Puyol's is in the high 90s. So you would assume as a defender that Puyol is better. No, that's not the case. Because if you slap a shadow card and someone like Eric Bailly, you will be boosting his defensive stats. His physical stats are already very good because he has crazy aggression. 87 aggression is... This is why this card is so good. 87 aggression with 85 strength, 84 jumping, with good defensive stats because he's going to have a shadow card on him. He shouldn't even touch the physical because it's already God's here. While also being 6'2", medium high. While also having the pace to come back, move left and right nicely. This card's amazing in comparison to a Carlos Puyol because he has that extra acceleration and sprint speed that Carlos Puyol does not have. You will not notice the big difference with the physical and the defending of Carlos Puyol in comparison to Eric Bailly because of the lack of pace. If Carlos Puyol had more pace, which I think we are all in agreement that Carlos Puyol was a fast player in real life. We all know that he was a fast player in real life, so those card stats make no sense in all honesty. But again, I'm just letting you guys pick up my brain. This is all my opinion. This is not factual thing. This is just how I think before I buy cards, right? This is why someone like Eric Bailly, I always tell people all the time, this card is as close to an icon card as you can get him. Like I'm talking like full meta oriented, right? Eric Bailly, Valencia, Laurent Blanc, and maybe De Gea in the future if I put him in my squad, are the only players that are okay to use in FUT Champs if you're thinking about a full meta. Boateng, Alaba, Martial, Gabriel Jesus. These guys are good players, but they're not at that level of the players that are really good in this game. Like Ronaldo, Thierry Henry, Patrick Vieira. Like those are the guys you need to fully play to your full potential in this game, right? But Eric Bailly, this card's amazing. Literally amazing. He's an amazing center back. Nothing wrong with this card when I'm using him. His positioning is amazing. He's just an amazing card, right? I'm trying to think of some other concepts. I think the best way for me to do that is like to search up the cards. It's just to again, I keep saying the same thing, but it's just to allow you guys to pick at my brain in terms of what cards would be good and what cards would be bad, because people are always asking me, yo, Inception, do you like this card? Do you like this card? I just want you guys to pick at my brain, right? Sergio Rommel. This card has a lot of potential to be really good. I'll tell you guys why, right? If you play with above 55 pressure and aggression, this card's going to be amazing for you, because every time a person will try to force that pass in the middle, Sergio Ramos is going to be on top of them in order for him to get the ball. Crazy acceleration, crazy sprint speed with 97 agility and 74. This card's amazing. Like, you look at this card, it's literally a work of art. The defending and the physical stats is beautiful. 98 composure. No one's going to touch the ball off of this guy. He's got good dribbling on the ball. He's got good passing on the ball. So even if he goes forward, 75 finishing with 98 composure, this guy finishes better than most strikers in the game, right? So, you know, you buy a card like that, you're spending what, 1.5 mil on him. Let's see what his actual price is. So 1.4, 1.5. Is this card worth it? Guys, if you have the money, of course it is, man. You've got every single capability of a defensive card needed on this, except for the height, because he's 6 foot. He's not 6'2" or 6'3". Does that matter? Not at all. You know why? Because he has 93 strength with 99 jumping. So the height, completely irrelevant to the situation with this card, right? Some players, the height, very, very noticeable because they don't have the strength and the jumping to make up for it. Why do I not like Pogba in this game? It's not that I don't like Pogba in this game, but when I'm using this card, I'm using him as a center mid or a CDM. CDM, big no-no because of the high medium. That's why I want to change out the Inform Tolisso, because there isn't a good balance with Laurent Blanc when there's a high medium with a medium high. I'd rather have that medium high because I want them to stay in the CDM position. I don't need them pushing up. I don't need that extra attacking presence. Some players want that attacking presence. They want that extra CDM to push forward to cause a little bit of extra trouble, right? I don't like this card because he doesn't have defensive stats, right? He's 6'3", 4-star, 5-star, amazing. But the lack of balance and agility, doesn't move quickly on the ball, although he has the 5-star skill moves. He has the physical, but he has no defensive capabilities. I don't like a card that doesn't intercept the ball that's literally right next to their foot just because they don't have at least 75 interceptions, right? The lack of defensive capabilities with this card is why I don't like it. The card itself is quite decent. I don't like the balance and agility. Very noticeable on the card. He's so clumsy when he's moving about the pitch. Although he does do sharp touches, and that might be because he might have a trait if you search on Foothead where he has like either technical dribble or something, because he touches the ball really quickly, but it's not good enough because the lack of balance makes him take longer on the ball, and I really, really dislike that about him. With the fullbacks, pretty typical, high work rates, need good defensive stats, good physical. Physical with pace, incredibly important, right? If you have pace and you have physical, they go hand in hand with each other, so you have to be very careful with that. I can't really think of anything else. Goalkeepers, really typical, guys. De Gea, Farman. If you use anybody else, you're screwing yourself over. You can use Handanovic, you can use Courtois, you can use Neuer, but they don't do that leg save consistently. And that's why I hate 1v1 finishing, because that leg save is the worst thing in the world. But Farman and De Gea are the only goalkeepers that you should be using. People always say this whole realism thing with the goalkeepers, but the thing is, right, is that Farman is nowhere near the level of Neuer, but in FIFA, he's good because he has that leg save trait. That's the biggest reason why he's an amazing card to have in this game. But yeah, guys, if you guys like these types of videos, I'll definitely make more so you guys can pick up my brain in terms of what players I think are good and bad. Again, guys, a lot of these cards, if you guys watch my previous videos of the best defenders, best midfielders, best attackers, there's some cards, when you look at the stats of the cards, you're like, okay, you know what? This card has the potential to be decent because of this, this, and that. And there's cards that you will see me mention in those videos where I say, hey, this card is worth trying out because he actually has good stats, but these stats are stats that you need to try out in game. And there's certain cards where you just look at it and you're like, this card is not worth your time at all. Although he might be good for you, in a meta-oriented concept, he will not be that great. And you can tell before you buy the card. So I just wanted you guys to pick up my brain again. Again, another card like this with Rijkaard, this could be an amazing center back. Good defensive stats, good physical stats, really good acceleration and sprint speed. Balance being 58 is kind of poor, but he's 6'2", so it kind of makes sense a little bit. 4-star weak foot's very nice while having 90 composure and really, really good passing. Very nice to have for a center back. So again, guys, keep saying the exact same thing, but it's just to allow you guys to pick at my brain so you guys can understand why I choose and don't choose certain players. As you guys know, if I had a lot of coins in this game, my team would consist of just icons and team of the years everywhere, because FIFA, competitive-wise, is not at that stage, because everybody should be able to use the top meta players, because there's so much concepts you're missing from your gameplay when you don't have these crazy good players. But that is going to conclude the video for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this type of video. If you guys did, please drop a thumbs up on it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.